Hi, my name is Ben Betzler, and I am doing my oral presentation on the article, How the Best Leaders Resolve Workplace Conflicts. This article was written by William Craig and was written in February of 2019, last year. And it was also posted on Forbes. The article is kind of self-explanatory from the title. What Craig tries to do is he looks at common threads from great leaders in the past and now in the business world that are able to deal with conflict well. And he looks for these common threads, and he has about 4 points that he lays out, and is also exhorting other leaders to try to take hold of. The first is this. He says that great leaders know you cannot just push conflict under the rug. You have to deal with conflict. And that's his first point. And I know in my life, and I'm sure in everyone else's life, dealing with conflict is not a fun thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. But according to Craig, it's a very vital thing to do if you want to have a successful organization or business, because there's always going to be tension, and just kind of pushing underneath the rug or not really dealing with it, leaving those tensions unsettled, is not going to work later on when things explode, right? So that's the first thing, is great leaders know that tensions and conflicts need to be dealt with. Secondly, he talks about how great leaders know exactly when to have these conversations. So he kind of goes in depth on this, in that great leaders have this innate ability and this untaught ability to kind of feel out the room and to understand and to pay close attention to the emotions of the parties involved, I guess, right? And to understand kind of where people are coming from, and not to enter a conversation too soon, right? When people or parties are unstable and emotionally just distraught, that's not the time to have a serious conversation and try to figure out who's right and wrong and compromise. Not the time. So he says that great leaders know exactly when and are careful when to have conflict resolution conversations. All right, that was the second point. The third point is that Craig preaches for leaders to have a humble attitude. He says that the great leaders have a very humble attitude when it comes to conflict resolution. So what exactly does he mean by this? For employees, for an employer or a leader to expect their employees to maybe admit they're wrong or to compromise is way more likely to happen when the leader himself or herself has the same attitude. Craig explains that everyone has blind spots. Leaders are going to have blind spots. If I was a leader, I'm going to have blind spots, and I'm not going to quite understand the other person's perspective as well as they understand their perspective, right? And so he explains that you should not come into the conversation with the attitude that I'm right and I know the way and going to impose that on you, but rather to listen to the field, try to gauge everyone's or to get everyone's take on the situation and from their perspective what they believe, and then to give his own opinion or give her own opinion, and that be the way to go about it. So the third point Craig has is to have a humble attitude when it comes to these conflict resolution situations. And lastly, he talks about how you should, he exhorts leaders and says how great leaders always preach and always make sure that their employees leave with a sense that they are going to reach their full potential. He wants leaders to want, He wants their leaders to want their employees to reach their full potential. Conflicts, according to Craig, should be about bringing people together for a beneficial conversation. It may be scary, it may not feel good in the time, but when people are able to humble themselves and come together and kind of realize more things about themselves, more things about other people, more things about just kind of how interactions work, that it actually will be beneficial for all parties involved, and that you can better yourself as a person through conversation. He explains that these kind of conversations should be an opportunity for growth rather than something to be scared of, right? So this is of the book. The textbook talks a lot about a lot of these concepts. There is a ton of overlap, but I think that Mr. William Craig did a wonderful job putting some of these concepts into very practical tips for leaders. And that is my presentation. Thank you. If I can turn it off.